All right. Welcome to another edition of Vegas Badboyz of Podcasting. I'm DJ Impact. I got the full roster of the Vegas Badboyz here, and I'm excited to see you guys. Sin City Steve, Matt Michaels, and Simon Street. Welcome to Three Count. I'm going to mention three articles that we just pulled from the internet, and we're just going to discuss what it is that was put out there, and we'll just go from there. So feel free, if you're listening to us live on the Facebook chat, put your comment in there and we will try to get it on as we see fit. All right. So let's get started. This is count number one. It's from ringsidenews.com. It's titled 205 Live is getting a name change. It says that WWE 205 would join NXT as the latest brand under the company's umbrella to get a repackaging. Their cruiserweight show, which started in 2016 with the relaunch of the division, will soon have a different name. The new show will likely be a B show in the vein of the main event. Brian Alvarez discussed the upcoming change on today's Wrestling Observer Live, and he noted that WWE higher-ups don't want smaller wrestlers as champions anymore. Therefore, change is coming. This is what he said. Quote, of late, it has not been live. So I guess Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, these guys don't want to see any 205 pounders as champion. So it's going to get a new name. I don't know what it is. It's probably just going to be a tertiary show. I don't know what from it would be. It's going to be a low-level WWE show that, God bless them, nobody is going to watch. But this is where they will get their experience in front of a live crowd. It's coming. It's gonna no longer be 205 Live. All right, end quote. And the show was launched in the wake of the great reception of the WWE Cruiserweight Classic tournament received, and many of the tournament competitors were signed by the company and given a home on the brand. And as time wore on, the division became more of an afterthought. It was recently reported that WWE were considering doing away with the Cruiserweight Championship, which is currently an NXT title. Specifics for what the company plans to do with the show are not yet available. Fans will have to wait to see what becomes of 205 in the future. All right, Matt Michaels. Apparently 205 Live is getting a name change. What's your take on this?
It's about damn. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You know, what I found interesting was just the take on as if there was any significance to it at all right now. And you're not losing anything by making the show something where you can use that time slot for people to get experience in front of the camera.
Right.
Very simple. Especially with the new, mold that they're taking on. And if they want to truly develop people from the ground up instead of having people come in who have any kind of training experience,
right?
Then you need this. So it makes 100% sense to do it, and to do it with that particular. The fact of the matter is, 205 started off as something that was an add-on show, which never made any sense after SmackDown. It just. I'll tell you, having gone to a couple of the SmackDown tapings with that after it, it's like no one there. People left. It was, it wasn't a stable thing. So I think that this is probably the best decision in the end, to do something that will be local to hopefully just Full Sail, to the NXT shows, because then you don't have to travel with extra people and do all that recording on the road. So it's a well thought of idea that's finally happening.
Yeah, Let me ask you, Simon Street. I mean, I'm sure if I was to ask you when the last time you watched 205, you probably would be thinking, um, really trying to figure out when to win the last time. But hearing that now that they're changing up some things and, you know, trying to get some of the talent onto a professional setting here, will you find yourself maybe tuning in to see what they have to offer?
Well, it all depends. I mean, I stopped watching 205 once that belt basically traveled to NXT, the cruiserweight. You know, for me, I still at that point I didn't see no purpose of having a 205 show because most of the main competitors that were going after the cruiserweight belt was happening on NXT. I don't find it abnormal that this is the direction they want to go into because currently in NXT, you got Roger Strong, who's the cruiserweight, who's actually going to change the requirement of the weight limits. I don't know if it has anything to do with these changes for 205 and repackaging or anything like that. But my biggest question is if they take the cruiserweight belt from NXT 2.0 and move it to 205 and the repackaging is something I like, I might watch it. Mm-hmm. But if they still keep in the cruiserweight belt primarily in NXT 2.0 and they have a 205, I probably won't watch it. Again, for that main reason, I feel like the belt is important. Who has it at least the last 2 times, maybe 3 times has been important. But the show 205 itself is just dead in the water.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you, Sin City Steve. I mean, according to Brian Alvarez, it was noted that WWE higher-ups don't want smaller wrestlers as champion anymore, and therefore a change is coming. Do you think this is a smart kind of thing to do, or can you see where there's opportunity for smaller wrestlers to be champions?
So here's the thing: is they I can at least give them that they want to have a uniform type of a look that they're looking for on all of their brands. I think that a reason why so many people loved NXT was because of, you know, that there wasn't the typical like wrestler build that was pushed extremely heavily on that particular show. I think the biggest problem with 205 Live is that right out of the gate, you launched a brand new show and nobody was there that people really gave a shit about. So you didn't have that emotional attachment from a large number of the audience, or from a large sector of the audience. So I think that, you know, it was always, you know, you hit the nail on the head. As soon as the taping shows were over, Michaels, you had mentioned that everybody bolts out the door. That's how it was. And I think that when people look out into the crowd and they see empty seats, and not just a couple, but a lot, then you're probably going to gain casual viewers that are looking at the show and saying, okay, well, why is this arena half empty? And why should I give a shit about it if these people don't give a shit about it? So it was just doomed almost right from the beginning, unfortunately.
Yeah. You know, you made one statement there that I think really is very interesting too. There are no casual viewers when it came to 205. It was just the diehard viewers because all it was on was the network.
Right.
So I think that's another thing too. It's, you know, it'd be different if this was a USA show or a sci-fi show, right? Completely. Or another cable outlet. So I think that it comes down to if you have a product that will now develop people, might as well. I mean,
yeah,
not losing anything. So
and you know, obviously, we've talked ad nauseum about how the things that WWE is now valuing in the people that they're recruiting and the people that they're bringing to the PC. They're wanting to create their own roster. They are not wanting to, you know, pick people from the indies anymore. people that have, cut their teeth elsewhere and bring them in. Now they are wanting to create their own homegrown brand and actually have NXT 2.0 be a developmental brand. And as a result of that, you're seeing more of a cohesion and more continuity among all of the brands. So I think that, this is going to be comparable to like a Jacked or a Metal or, one of those other type shows. And realistically, what it should be is it should be an avenue to bring in people that nobody knows, or that, that people very, very few, very few ring appearances by the people that are going to be on this show. I think that they did test out something with Lash Legend, getting her opportunity, to have her initial debut match on a 205 Live. And now you've got just this past week on NXT, you have Joe Gacy cutting the promo saying how he's going to change the name of a show that has been oppressive. So I think that that's going to tie in, and you're going to have some, again, continuity, maybe bringing Joe Gacy over from NXT 2.0 to the show that's currently named 205 Live. And I don't know if he's going to be like a major recurring character on that show, but I think that, it's definitely going to be shaped, and that's going to be the angle avenue that they're going to take with it.
Well, it's interesting when you're talking about Joe Gacy. That's what I was mentioning earlier. I just couldn't think of his name, because currently in the NXT, that's what him and Roger Strong are kind of going back and forth. And that's why it's not surprising, this repackaging. But you said something that really makes sense. And I know down the road, we'll be talking about it sooner than later, is being more organic with their solutions with WWE. To me, that's the way that you want to take wrestling into the next era. Because from a business standpoint, no offense, indies are great, but it's hard sometimes to root out a lot of bad habits or to teach what you want your product to be. It's easy to just cultivate. And I'm be honest with you, a lot of sports athletes fit that bill better. They're already groomed to be coachable. So, it just makes more sense. So brilliant on bringing that up. Just want to put that out there.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, let's go to our second count. And this one is from sportskeeda.com. And this is one of the articles they do where it's 4 wrestling rumors we hope are true and 3 we hope aren't. And so what I'm going to do is pretty much just read off the numbers of what it is, and then I'm going to allow each one of you to just decide whichever one you want to talk about as you hope or not hope that is true. If you want to talk on that particular one. If you don't care about it, don't even mention it up. All right, so number 4, hope that is true, is the WWE's backstage plans for Austin Theory. So of course we know we've seen him backstage with Vince McMahon, and just kind of reading the article, it looks like that he is actually doing pretty good numbers. So when he's on air with Vince, so we'll see where that goes with that. All right, so that's what one thing you hope is true. What you hope that isn't true: WWE Hall of Famer Edge made a possibly controversial decision on Raw. And so I guess that has to do with Mike Johnson from PW Insider has shed some light backstage about the news of they say last night's show, but I think it was a week or two ago, in regards to the mention of recent WWE releases being subject matters in the promos. And it says Johnson reports that the mentions of Liv Morgan's friends being released in her promo last night was either a call from Vic McMahon or someone else on the WWE creative team. So it has to do with that they hope isn't true. Again, WWE Hall of Famer Edge made possibly a controversial decision. All right, the next one has to be that they hope is true: negative backstage reaction in WWE to the releases reference. So it almost kind of piggyback from what we just that what we just said. And one of the things that highlight is that it happened several times during this week. And I had a former WWE wrestler, former WWE producer, and current WWE wrestler that were all telling me how bad a taste they thought that was. So very interesting on that they hope that they hope is true, the negative reaction in WWE to the releases references. All right. The next one is number 2, what you hope isn't true. WWE's original plan for the Vince McMahon egg storyline. And I guess they said the original idea was much worse with the stakes much lower. Creative reportedly had an idea for the egg storyline to be integrated with the 24/7 championship. And the Fightful notes that they heard that the pitch was vetoed by representatives from both The Rock and Red Notice, which forced WWE to think much harder about the storyline, which was produced. All right. So that one is you hope isn't true, that WWE original plans for the Vince McMahon egg storyline. And this one here is what we hope is true. WWE has reportedly paid for Impact Wrestling stars rehab in the past. And I guess Meltzer has said that, yes, I think even the fact that they would pay for Moxley's rehab, because that's the nature of the policy, because they have definitely paid for people when they've been in Impact. They haven't paid for the rehab of anyone in AEW that I know of, but they have definitely paid for Impact, which is a rival promotion. So I guess that would be something that that you hope is true, that WWE has reportedly paid for Impact Wrestling stars rehab in the past. All right, and then coming down to the last two that you hope isn't true. The real reason why Kevin Owens was added to the WWE title match at day one, and this goes by what Meltzer says, it's allowed them to stretch the feud out between Big E and Seth Rollins, because Kevin Owens can get pinned and they can keep the feud going. Because on that side, as long as Big E is a babyface champion, it's going to be tough to put Edge in there. Who is their other Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens? And we don't know how long Kevin Owens is going to be there. His contract is coming up at the end of January after the Royal Rumble, and he'll have a decision to make. All right. So that's one to think about that you hope isn't true. The real reason why Kevin Owens was added to WWE match for day one. And the very last one would be that you hope is true, the possibility of MJF in WWE in his future. And of course, this also was written, Dave Meltzer, who said, I had a conversation with him about it, and I don't think he's going anywhere. They usually don't give ridiculous deals to someone who has never in their mind been a big deal. I could see there being a big bidding war. It's just a question of how high they're willing to go. I wouldn't say he's locked into AEW, but all things being equal, he won't be leaving AEW. All right, fellas, we have 4 wrestling rumors that we hope are true, or we hope that aren't true. I just wanted to hear what your thoughts. I'm gonna start with you, Simon Street, because you originally sent this off. What was your thoughts on the what they laid out?
So you said the rules are just pick one that you want to talk about, right?
Yeah, you can pick one. Okay. Just pick
Gotcha.
one. Yeah.
I'm gonna pick the one that, with regards to Kevin Owens being added to the day one match. It's no secret that Kevin Owens' contract is coming up. A lot of people out there will probably say that it makes sense, because a lot of people that Kevin Owens came up with are probably going to AEW in some form or another, and it seems like a likely choice. However, I do believe that this rumor is totally not true. I do believe that he was added to the day one match because he is involved in the storyline currently right now. And he's someone that I think for the longest time, they wanted to kind of pull that trigger with him for him to start doing more. It's time for him to get into the rotation of things. And I think that, when his contract does come up, me personally, I think he's going to make the right decision and stay with WWE, because I think he has more to gain, at least for the right now. Versus going to AEW. I think he knows that there's a potential he might get lost in the sauce a little bit.
Okay. Got you. Let's move over to you, Sin City Steve. You tell me which one you chose.
So actually, the one that I chose was the. Give me one moment here. I'm actually going through the article, but the Austin Theory one, right at the very beginning, WWE's backstage plans for Austin Theory. I've seen Austin Theory wrestle on the Indies before he went to WWE, and he is an amazing talent. When he went to NXT, he showed his diversity in his acting ability, and to my knowledge, he hadn't ever played a guy that was just dumb, and he played it extremely well. Like, I'm sure that there are quite a few people in the audience that were completely sold on the fact that he was dumber than a box of shit. And he did a great job of showing off his acting talents and his ability to play diverse roles. So that's one thing that I only hope for the best for this dude. He's 24, and quite frankly, WWE, they need to start pushing younger talents, and especially something that is very, very key. Think about it. When was the last time that Vince McMahon himself was very hands-on with a character on WWE programming? It's been a while. So for him to be involved with this push, there has to be something. There has to be, a decent push behind this guy. I mean, whether you want to go all the way back to the Attitude Era, like I know Simon Street was showing off his Austin shirt, or if you want to think about what he did with branding Drew McIntyre as being the chosen one, which I see a large parallel between the two of these guys. Relatively the same age. Hopefully they don't make Austin Theory, leave and go find himself and come back. Hopefully they are able to, work with what he has and what he is bringing to the table. Because I think that he could be a franchise player in WWE.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Let me jump over to you, Matt Michaels. Which one of these caught your interest?
Just first want to give Steve some credit for making me picture Austin Theory in a kilt.
Who knows? Maybe he'll stab a sword through a fucking desk.
That no one can pull out, apparently.
So, I think I just gotta point out the stupid fucking one of the idea that they're glad that it wasn't true, or hoped it wasn't true about the egg being part of the 24/7 title or what. What a fucking stupid. Whoever writes this shit needs to get fired. It's fucking awful, man. Let alone those who pick this shit for the show, but that's a whole different topic.
I knew you had something fucked up to say. I'm glad you met my expectations.
I mean, how do you say we're glad that, or we're hoping it isn't true that this was the case? It's like, well, they didn't go through with it if it was the case. So why do you fucking care? I mean, Jesus. Talk about needing to make a quota for your paycheck.
Right.
It just fucking got awful. How many things backstage get fucking scrapped every single fucking minute, let alone, this kind of thing. So, and I think one of the most again ridiculous things is the fact that they had to point out that The Rock wasn't going to sign off on the egg being a 24/7 belt angle, and it's like, really, we got to the point where The Rock was pitched this. I doubt it.
Well, I think the reason why they did that because he was in a movie on Netflix about an egg. I think it's called Red Notice with Ryan Reynolds.
No, I know. Absolutely, I know this, Simon. It is kind of the whole tie-in of the goddamn fucking egg. But the idea that they would write this as if The Rock was the one who was like, hey, we got to run this past The Rock. If Vince McMahon wanted to fucking do that, he would have done that. But this probably doesn't even fucking smell like an actual story. So thank you. I think it's Raj something or another. Good job, Raj, on Sportskeeda.
All right, man. Let's go into our third count, which is from CageSideSeats.com. It's titled WWE Announces First Ever NIL Class of College Athletes. And it reads like this: that last week, WWE announced an NIL program to take advantage of the NCAA's new NIL, which is name, image, and likeness policy that allows college athletes to get paid for things other than playing the sports they represent in their schools, and to clearly repurpose the acronym as, quote, next in line, end quote. Now, jokes aside, it's a smart way for WWE to cost effectively get a look at talented athletes to determine if they have what it takes to succeed in their business. For the athletes, it's a payday and access to world-class facilities at the Orlando Performance Center, where they can see if pro wrestling sports entertainment is something they'd be interested in doing, and the not unlikely event they don't make a living in their primary sport. And it's also a big step in WWE's moving their developmental program away from signing wrestlers from the independents and towards building superstars from the ground up. So it says today, which is December 8th, they announced their first next in line class. And it talks about that these 15 young men and women would join the Olympic gold medal winning wrestler and University of Minnesota All-American Gable Stevenson's in the WWE NIL program. So it goes over all the different names and people. And then they end it by saying, is the next Bianca Belair or Braun Breaker in this group? All right. This was the story here by Sin City Steve. What was your take when you read this article?
So I think that this establishes the jumping off point for how WWE is going to restock their coffers, if you will. So basically, they've got Gable Stevenson, and then they also named these 15 athletes. One thing that is definitely of note, there is not a single male athlete under 6 feet tall, and there is not a female athlete under 5 feet 5 tall. So that tells you right there what kind of a height requirement that they are looking for. And realistically, they could have set parameters whatever they wanted to with this. So I know that we've talked plenty about the changing of the image and what they're going to be looking for in a prototypical superstar in WWE. This actually now provides a bridge for athletes coming out of college to make a seamless transition if they don't succeed in their primary sport that they're playing in college, to make their way to the Performance Center, to get into NXT, and to build that next pipeline of WWE superstars. I think this is fucking genius.
Wow. All right. Well, let me jump over to you and ask Simon Street. Do you think that this is a genius plan, now that you see what what this program offers?
Fuck yeah, it is. 100%. And that kind of like I mentioned before, because I didn't want to give away what this article was, but two things stick out of mind. Number one, these people getting out of college are already groomed to be coachable in general. Athletes are already mostly coachable in general. And if you look at WWE and when they've had actual past athletes, it's worked out of more at a beneficial rate than someone from the Indies. That's not to put people from the Indies down at all. I'm just saying from a WWE standpoint that I've noticed. Another thing I think it is good too is because, if you look at The Rock, this is the same pathway that The Rock basically went through. He went into it. Yeah. Give me that look, Michaels, and shut the hell up and listen to me. So The Rock, even though he had all this background and he had all this family that was in wrestling, he went to school in hopes and dreams to be a football player. That's what he wanted to do. It didn't quite work out. Yeah, he went to Canada to play football for a while, but I do think that he had that opportunity to go in. Yes, he may have got in some doors quickly and had to work his way up, but I'm saying it makes more sense for this because there's facilities and things that someone can go into. Like if I'm an athlete myself, and I've also grew up watching WWE or watching wrestling in general, right? And I want to go out to be a football player, a basketball player, and it does not work out. My backup plan going in is like, all right, I'm gonna take me some acting classes. I'm probably gonna do a double major or major in theatrical arts on the side. Because my game plan is, okay, if football or sports don't work out, my backup plan could be to go ahead and try out for the WWE. It's a hell of a lot easier for you to maybe go that pathway. And if you even think about it, there's going to be a larger amount of people that's going to be coming up to WWE's footsteps to try and get next in line. I think it's what they're calling it, right? Next in line or something like that. You're going to see a lot more people. They may not accept them all, but they're going to get that steady stream in. And like I said, it's just I'm actually excited about this. And I don't look at it as a negative thing. And I think that give it about 5, maybe 10 years, we'll start seeing the fruits of this venture.
Matt Michaels, do you see anything that could possibly go wrong with having this program? Or do you just see 100% full success on what we're reading into this article here?
Well, there's a couple of thoughts. First is The Rock had the family fucking in the business, so obviously it's not the same equivalent. The reason being is the fact that the opportunity for these guys to sign is twofold. One, they're allowing them finally in college to make money. So let's really be realistic here. What a fucking great way to get paid to spend your summers training and then go back to school or right out of college, train and see if they can make something of you. And I think that absolutely 100% reeks of Nick Khan, because Nick Khan is a sports guy. All right. That's where he, made his claim for years. So it's a smart move to allow these guys, because there's going to be more people who are going to want to try this to make the money.
Mm-hmm.
So, now you said the dangers or the possible bad things.
Yeah.
It goes along those lines. You're going to get people who don't give a shit about pro wrestling going out just to get the money.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to possibly create a generation of people who are all Sid and want to go play softball, but get paid to wrestle.
Right.
So I think that's one of the biggest things. I also find it very funny that this all comes after Vince finally went down. He probably was like, wait a minute, God damn it, pal, we're at Full Sail University. Whoa, where are the college students? And so he probably just at that moment realized they're in a college. Oh, whoa, we better have college people doing this then. So it's a good change.
Yeah.
Based along the ideas of one thing, and that is, if they're going to do this, they are going to then, I think, take certain people who become available. Let's say that going back to MJF, now you can commit that money to bring MJF straight to SmackDown or Raw, right? That's what you're going to see start happening, is the guys that get established who are not getting the contract from AEW because they can't resign them. They're going to throw money that way to guys who are already polished. So you can have a balance of guys who are coming through their system and guys who are already television name ready. And that's how you see this future creation. It's not NXT. Let's all remember one thing. This all isn't about NXT as a product. It's about the WWE at the main level and what it's going to look like 5 to 10 years from now. And this is you're seeing the formation of, Braun Breaker and Von Wagner. These are your Cenas. These are your Batistas. These are your Brock Lesnar's and Randy Ortons. And that's what we're going to see. And also get ready, because fans are going to fucking hate it at certain points, because these are the guys who are going to continue to get pushed down their throats. So,
Gotcha. All right.
It's funny you said that, Matt Michaels, because those are going to be the same people that swear they love Cena, die hard, and was ignoring people when we said they're pushing certain people down their throats. Those are going to be the first people complaining.
The one thing that I really like with this is that now they're tipping their hand with that. They are looking for image over ability, and this is what they've been kind of slyly saying for quite some time, but now they are making it known that this is what they're looking to do and how they're looking to build their company. You hit the nail right on the head, Michaels.
And one of the funny things, if you're looking to list the names, is you can start seeing certain things like the twins. We did great with the Bella twins. Let's find the next generation. Where do you go? The independents? No. How the fuck you can find, it's a needle in a haystack. Here, we're going to pay you guys to come and fucking work it out and learn it and train. And if you like it, you're going to make lucrative money because you're already slotted in whatever the buy-in is. And then just going to keep going up from there. So yeah, it's a very interesting concept, and I think it's also a concept that's going to piss off a lot of, again, the traditional mark wrestling fans who just don't see any value in this, because why are you passing up on these great independent talents for college athletes?
Good, but who's going to gain out of this? AEW, if they're smart. Because their model program is going to be, or could be, we're the people that represent the next step for the indies. We represent. I know you're laughing, but
no, it went out the fucking door, dude. They already fucking shut the door on that shit.
Well, I'm just saying they're gonna have a lot of people standing in the AEW line, most likely, once it takes off in the next 3 to 4 years. Because, like I said, they're looking to create a factory at WWE. And a lot of that is not going to include traditional people from the indies or from other promotions.
And it's not going to include them in AEW either.
Perhaps.
Well, they've already shown their hand. Steve made a great point. This is what the WWE is doing and showing their hand. AEW's already shown their hand. We'll take your fucking people that you guys put on TV. We'll put them on our show, and we'll push out those guys, because you're already starting to see, the start of the people who were supposed to be the featured ones in AEW getting pushed out the door because they're not getting any fucking airtime.
You know what they're making? They're making the same mistakes the TNA made when Hogan came in, when a lot of those other people came in. It just, I guess, same mistakes, same profit.
But you got to understand one simple thing is that AEW is not in the same realm of what TNA was doing, because of the fact that AEW has a higher profile cable program, right?
True.
So they have to start figuring out a way to bring in more viewers on a regular basis because of the fact that ad revenue is so much higher than it ever was for TNA. The problem is when you lose wrestling companies like ROH, now you're stuck with, if the WWE is doing that with their talent and building these particular types, and AEW is using known talent to raise their exposure, and Impact is still on Access, which they're kind of in a weird limbo of names and some independent type names, right? You don't have that major company right now for a lot of these guys to CM Punk, Samoa Joe, and those guys like Bryan Danielson. If it wasn't for Ring of Honor, those guys don't get to the next level. And I know this because I was there with Joe and in UPW, and Joe was the typical guy who was just fucking phenomenal. I was never going to get the look from Vince. You know, they signed John Idinwright and Nathan Jones because of their bodies, but ignored the pure talent of a guy like Samoa Joe, who lived and breathed wrestling. So you need that. You need that ground where guys can really get that exposure and become the independent darlings. And one of the companies that can benefit from all of this, GCW.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. That's a very, very good point. Very good point.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys for that. That is our 3 count. We're about to end our 3 count. We thank everybody for listening, hanging out. We're going to give our final thought, a quick final thought for everyone. This is going, if you're watching us live, this will be our last live one, 3 count for the year, but we do have a lot of content that we're still going to be bringing to you throughout the rest of the month. And when we go back for the new year, it's going to be an exciting time. That's all I can tell you. So just make sure you keep it locked on our social media. We'll keep all the information, keep you locked with all the right information so you know what to expect and when to expect it. All right. But we thank you for definitely being listeners to us. And I just personally want to wish you a happy holidays and enjoy time with your family. Make sure you be safe out there because, you know, we live in crazy times, but still, and try to enjoy yourself and your family this holiday season. All right, let me go over to you, Simon Street. What would you like to tell the good people who are listening to us?
Well, shit, since this is going to be the last show of the year, I might as well just give a...
Wait. Time out. It's the last live stream of the year, not the last show of the year.
Well, I'm talking about the last people watching us live is what I mean. Right? Am I correct in that? Okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right. So for everybody who's watching us live, first and foremost, thank you. We appreciate your support and your continuous viewership. The one thing I can tell you is that go into the next year, if you're a person that only watches us, with a brand new attitude, brand new focus, and the desire to make an even bigger impact than you did in 2021. And always try to be better in the way that you treat others and the way that you treat yourself. If you treat yourself like gold, let that transform into the way you treat others. That's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you for that. Sin City Steve, what do you want to tell the good people?
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the stuff that you guys do. We definitely appreciate y'all. Obviously, we'll be releasing content up, all the way until the end of the year and beyond. But for our live stream viewers, thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's been awesome. And as far as, I know I go on like a 3-pronged kind of a thing, but I do also want to mention one thing. We are at the holiday season. First off, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. I just hope that this holiday season is a good one for you and that you make it as best as you possibly can. By that same token, if you know somebody that maybe doesn't have, family, friends, whatever, that they're not in the best kind of mindset, reach out to them. Maybe if you work with a certain person at work that, you can tell that, the holidays are hitting them hard, don't be afraid to say, hey, give me a, like, let's go have lunch. Like, give me a call. Let's hang out, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's one of those things that this time of the year is very difficult for a lot of people. So just be very mindful of that. Thank you to all of the special and brave men and women serving this country, lands foreign and domestic. Again, an extremely difficult time of the year for you guys. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And we appreciate everything that you do. Our boy, the Storm and Mormon, John, you're on deploy right now, brother. We love you. I hope that you have a Merry Christmas, man. And to everyone else that is deployed as well, thank you for all of the work that you're doing. Last but not least, repsports.com, reppsports.com. Go there for all of your pre-workout, weight loss, and general energy needs. Repsports.com. Use promo code Vegas at checkout and save yourself 15%.
Thank you much, Sin City Steve. Matt Michaels, what would you like to tell the good people?
Just a couple things. So first thought, just Steve, first time in 3 years that I finally realized that you say PP every show. So a fond farewell to Blackjack Lanza, who passed away this week. He was just an innovator in the industry. Him and Mulligan as the Blackjacks were a sensational team that missed if they came along 10 years later, they would have been one of the hottest tag teams in the 80s. So they set a lot of groundwork, and Lanza did a lot of just great work backstage with the talent. Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe, and Lanza, and Tony Gurria, I think, are the four-pronged monster that really helped just developing the 90s through the early 2000s of pro wrestling. Then from there, like to shout out my boy Sonny Kiss, who shares the birthday with me this past Saturday. So shout out to Sonny Kiss, and also sign lady our gal Terry, who also had the birthday on Saturday as well. And finally, big congratulations goes out to my man DDP. Wow, knows how to do not only an engagement, but a surprise wedding. He got married and threw a surprise wedding for his new wife, Paige. And yes, she is now Paige, which is wonderful. But man, if anyone listening, if you guys get a chance to just Google up DDP engagement or DDP wedding, and boy, he did it. They did the whole. He's a Christmas guy, man. He's a Christmas freak. So the whole tuxes were white, red, and it was stunning. Katie Forbes, RVD, they just had their wedding. Paige was at the wedding for them. They were at his wedding. There were a number of guests as well that were at the wedding. That it was a special thing, man. And dude, it's just so good to see him happy, and he got a good one too. Paige seems to be a really, really wonderful person. So it's so nice to see that, especially this time of year, and how much it means to Dallas. And it's stories like that we need to hear a little bit more of. With all the crap that goes on out there. So
Absolutely. And shout out to Chris. First off, man, shout out to you, brother. Thanks for hanging out with us all the time. I love when I see you on. When I don't see you, I go, where the hell is Chris? Find him. So it's good to see you. He just commented and said that Mark Merrill also has pictures of the wedding on his Facebook page. So feel free, guys, to jump on his to check it out. But man, guys, this has been great. Just know that that next year is just going to be an exciting time. You know, there's a lot of people who've tried this podcasting and they figure out, it's just not for them or whatever. And we're still at it. We're still going strong. Uh we'll be starting. Would that be year 5?
Jesus,
4?
no.
4.
Going into
Yeah.
year 4. Yeah.
Yeah, season. Yeah. I thought it was somewhere between there.
4.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. Well, I think the problem is I've been surrounded
Feels
by
like
y'all
5.
so long that it feels like it's 5, even 6.
You
But
look like it's been 10.
you know what? Go to hell.
You look like Johnny Knoxville. Like the only person out of Jackass that look old. Everybody still look the same age.
Oh,
Johnny Knoxville
man.
look like he aged by like 20 years.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So we can't wait to see you guys next year. Make sure you take a listen to all of our content. We really got some really good stuff coming up this month. And yeah, even some things I'm sure you're going to be wanting to comment on. Use our social media page to comment on. We respond. We take a look, and we all have certain opinions, and we will all add our opinions to whatever statement that is. So just make sure you continue to follow us, and we will continue to keep you entertained. With that, we will see you next time. Take care.